I mean, the fact that he is both that good that early and has a name like Fluff. I mean, it's you're tying our hands here.
How can we parlay the same team? I don't know, but we're going to do it. We'll just bet them twice on the money line. 2 units, Hawaii money line. Calabrese go.
The Big Bets on Campus podcast.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the Group of Five Deep Dive. I'm Mike Calabrese, joined by Mike Iannello. We are here to give you all the goods on the Group of Five, go through our best bets, the G5 High Five, and our Underdog Moneyline Parlay. Last week was pretty eventful for college football, at least for this podcast. Trent Dilfer got torpedoed by Navy. And I want to start there just for a second. I think probably the best comparison that I can give on two ends of the spectrum for how I feel about coaches with an NFL background, either having played there or coached in the NFL, moving down to college. On one end, you have Trent Dilfer, who basically thumbs his nose at college. It's not a big deal. Even last year when he played against Georgia, he's like, oh, Bowers didn't impress me that much. I was around Hall of Fame talent, blah, 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 blah. He's getting crushed at the college level. I think he's short for that job. I think UAB would be wise to cut ties with him. But on the other side, you got Bill O'Brien at Boston College. And admittedly, personality-wise, he's not my cup of tea. But man, does that guy love that job. He's been doing the media tour. They're already competitive in the ACC with him. There's a clear upgrade in terms of the coaching top to bottom. And he's just somebody who just oozes enthusiasm for the college game. And this is the same guy I know as someone who saved the Penn State program. It can't be overstated how important his years in Happy Valley were. If they're going to bring a statue back, they should bring a Bill O'Brien statue and put it on campus. That, to me, is what you should be doing if you're not just a mercenary coaching at the very highest level of the sport for a ton of money like a Jimbo Fisher. If it's a passion project, if you're going to a G5 school or a second-tier Power 4 school, you should be a Bill O'Brien. You shouldn't be a Trent Dilfer. What are your thoughts there on UAB imploding and potentially getting a new coach?
Yeah, obviously I faded both of those two coaches and neither of them covered, so that was perfect. But yeah, obviously, I love Bill O'Brien, everything he did to Penn State. He was great. I mean, he took that job when really nobody wanted it, and what he did to kind of persevere and rally the crowd and rally the fans and the players to stay. You can make all the jokes you want. Him getting Hackenberg to stay, like Hackenberg was awesome at Penn State, especially those first couple of years
when they could protect him for sure.
Like him getting Hackenberg to stay. Him bringing in Allen Robinson to stay. I mean, you forget, like, this was before the portal, and the NCAA basically invented the transfer portal and said, come pick all of our players, and he kept most of them there. So yeah, I love Bill O'Brien. I think he's done an amazing job, and he's so perfect for Boston College, like, North Andover guy, like from that area, obviously the Patriots ties. So yeah, I love everything about what he's doing. I love guys like that.
Now, people tune in for positivity, but specifically G5 positivity. So let's transition to our G5 Heroes of the Week from the week that was. Every single week, we could just give it to Ashton Jeanty. That's not what you're here for.
Well, hold on. I'm going to give it to Ashton Jeanty because we do this like breeze over him thing each week. We just say, yeah, Ashton Jeanty. And no. Ashton Jeanty is the G5 Hero of the Week because I want to talk about him just for a second because I don't want to breeze over him like we usually do. That game was unbelievable. 259 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 234 yards after contact. My man had 17 missed tackles forced in one game against the Power 5 team. 17. If you watch his 4 touchdown runs, if you didn't stay up late, pull them up on YouTube. He broke 5 tackles on every touchdown run. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. 5. He is now at 845 yards and 13 touchdowns in 4 games. He's averaging 211 yards per game. Only 44 teams in the country have more rushing yards this season than Jeanty. Only 14 teams, 14, have scored more rushing touchdowns as a team than Jeanty has on the year. This man is a freak. We have been saying since the preseason he is going to New York. No. He's going to win the Heisman, Calabrese. He is the best player in the country. Milroe, Jeanty, Hunter, that is the 3 going to New York. Ashton Jeanty's going to win the Heisman. He's going to be the first running back drafted in the NFL draft. He might be a first-round pick. He is so good. It's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, everything that you said. I think if you took vintage Emmitt Smith and then sprinkled a little NFL blitz dust on him, that's kind of the comp where it's like a little bit compact, really difficult to tackle, but that explosion is outside of the Emmitt Smith comparison. I think that's where he's in
So,
basically territory of his
and,
own.
and you look at, it's a voting award. It's a narrative award. You already see the narrative building for Travis Hunter, and I don't disagree with it. And we talked about statement games, and obviously Milroe had the one against Georgia, but that was early in the year. He's going to have another one later in the year, probably in the SEC championship game. Hunter's going to have to keep doing what he's doing. He's going to have, they're going to have to be in the Big 12 title race. You think about Shohei Ohtani, the sexiness of saying 50-50 season secures him the MVP, no doubt. I do think because he's a G5 guy and because he's not going to play anyone on national TV the rest of the year, I think he's got to break Barry Sanders' record to win the Heisman. And I think he might. So I think that's kind of the bar where, like, if that headline, breaking Barry Sanders' all-time record, I think is enough. I don't think he needs the game or the big stage or the moment. I think that's the moment, is if he breaks Barry's record, he can win the Heisman.
I mean, unfortunately, but I think this gets saddled on quarterbacks as well. This is a special year. This is the first year of the 12-team playoff. If he leads them to a playoff bid on top of all of these stats, I think some combination of either getting really close or breaking the record, but it has to go along with them getting the bid out of the G5. And if they do so, he'll deserve it. So this is something that we can continue to discuss moving forward. But I think Genty has he's become appointment television just on his own. If anyone's not staying up late to watch him, you need to. All right, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction for my G5 hero. I'm going to go with the Haj Malik Williams, UNLV's quarterback. He walked in, he battled for the starting job. He didn't get it. He was patient. He didn't transfer out. He didn't complain. And it's clear that his teammates love him, particularly Ricky White. He was there to throw some love on him as soon as he was named the starter when Sluka had his whole catastrophe play out on social media. And what does he do? He throws it to Ricky 10 times for 127 yards and 2 scores. Overall, the Haj Mahal, 182 passing, 119 rushing, 4 total touchdowns. This team can now win the Mountain West Conference because they are not tied to one quarterback, pulling rabbits out of his hat. This is team ball. Their offensive line is amazing. It's unlocking all the potential of the go-go. They can crash the college football playoff. And it's all because Haj is so dangerous with the football and he makes all the right decisions. The UNLV Boise game that's on the horizon, who baby, that has G5 game of the year written all over it. What do you think about Haj Malik Williams?
Yeah, so I wanted to make 3 declarations at the top. Number 1, UConn is a wagon. Number 2, the Army Navy over is dead, because these teams are both tanks and they're both in the playoff discussion. And number 3, I'm all in on UNLV. Because I have not been on the bandwagon with you. I have been hesitating, and it's because I did not believe in Sluka. He couldn't pass the ball. Their ceiling, I think, is so much higher than it was now. I'm all in on Williams. I used to make fun of you for slurping for Sluka all year, but now we are horned up for Haj Malik. We are all in on the Rebels. I think their ceiling is so much higher now. I'm now officially on the bandwagon alongside you.
On to week number 6 here. Nevada at San Jose State is where I'm starting for my best bet. I'm laying the 6 with the Spartans. Talking about a team that the country's been sleeping on. We've been pointing out these wagons before they get out of the station. How about San Jose State? Spread and shred time. That's the name of their offense under Craig Stutzman, their OC. He has made this offense relevant in short order, which is incredible because everyone assumed Ken Niumatalolo is going to come in. Are they going to run the triple? Are they going to run some kind of version of the option? Nope. He goes with this guy with an air raid background, and Emmett Brown has exploded as a quarterback. He's averaging over 320 per game through the air, 13-4 touchdown to interception ratio. Nick Nash, as the kids would like to say, is him. This guy leads the nation in receptions and receiving touchdowns. Super dynamic up and down. Now, even though I am laying the points here, I do want to point out that we and most of the college football public were off on Nevada. This is not a year 0 situation. They got a huge boost in the power rankings after almost upsetting SMU in the opener, and it's been deserved because they continue to play really well against the pass. They shut down that Georgia Southern passing game, and a big reason for their success as well has been how good they've been in the red zone. They're top 25 in touchdown percentage allowed. But the other side of this is that San Jose State, when they get in the red zone, they score touchdowns. They have 16 trips. They got 12 TDs there. And San Jose State's defense, if you set aside that Wazoo performance, and you know what? Wazoo's going to do that to a lot of teams this year. They've been pretty good on defense. I kind of like what the Spartans have when they're playing, work in progress kind of offenses. I think that's clearly what the Wolfpack have here. They also had an extra week to prepare. Offensively, I love where they are. I'm hoping that the extra seasoning, the extra film time, they can, put this Wolfpack offense in a box a little bit. The fact it's under a key number, I'm going to grab it. I think it's going to be on the move when people dig into this matchup further later in the week. I think everything points to SJSU. What are your thoughts on Niumatalolo in a spot as a favorite? They're undefeated against the spread thus far this season. Do they keep that train rolling?
Yeah, first time on the year we have the same exact pick. We've kind of double dipped in the spread money line picks a few times, which has worked, by the way. And it's funny, we've actually swept our best bets 2 weeks in a row. Well, this week we're either going to sweep or go over. Yes, this is also my best bet. You mentioned it. There was a lot of questions on this team coming into the year with Niumatalolo not running the triple option anymore, the huge switch to the spread and shred with Craig Stutzman. And yeah, Emmett Brown is just thriving in this offense. You mentioned Nick Nash, just an absolute stud. Nick Nash, we forget, this kid has been with San Jose State since 2019. He was a quarterback for their first 3 seasons. He was their starting quarterback for most of 2021, switches to wide receiver, now leads the country in catches. Also, don't let him overshadow that, 2 years ago we were talking about Justin Lockhart as this team's best receiver. He's still there. He's very good. He's averaging like 80 yards a game, something like that. They have 2 capable tight ends. Obviously, this is a pass-first team, but Floyd Chalk is coming off a very, very good game against Washington State as kind of his breakout performances. And the Spartans put up 50 points in that game, nearly 500 yards of offense. They averaged 6.5 yards per play in each of the last 2 games. You mentioned it. They got shredded by this defense, but bye week to kind of regroup, figure out how to stop this Nevada offense that's very one-dimensional. They can't really throw the ball. They've beaten Eastern Washington and Troy by 2. This team is 78th in defensive success rate, and this would be the best passing attack Nevada sees by a mile. And I think if San Jose State gets a lead, they are just built to pull away with this fast-paced passing offense, and Nevada's not built to come back and get in the back door. Like I said, I'm not afraid of Lewis in this passing game, and yeah, the Spartans got shredded by Washington State on the ground especially. But before that, they held Air Force to 143 yards on 46 carries, Kennesaw to 64 yards on 39 carries. So they basically faced 2 triple option teams and really shut down the run. So I think that was just a bad performance last week or 2 weeks ago. I think they bounce back. I think the Spartans pull away big here. I'm with you. I think this is just a very good team.
I think we're the beneficiaries as well of them not beating Wazoo outright, because I think the secret would be out on them. They'd be getting more national love. They'd be in that conversation. Is it a 3-horse race between Boise, UNLV, and the Spartans to win the Mountain West Conference? But instead, they're kind of hiding in the weeds here. So I think that's what's keeping this number under the key number of 7.
And they're also like one of those teams, again, that it's still kind of early in the year where, they were kind of projected middle of the Mountain West, just honestly because there were so many questions about them. And I think they're kind of creeping their way up into the top tier, and people haven't really realized it yet because they haven't really played anybody. But I think they're kind of going to be up there.
On to the G5 High Five after a very tight, efficient 1-pick best bet here in week 6. I'm going to go. I have 3 picks here this week, so I'm going to get it started with a total.
Can take one of mine again?
I mean, let's see. Let's see if the mind meld continues. Over 61.5, South Alabama, Arkansas State. Jalen Rayner, bounce back game. Book it. They put out their depth chart. He is the number 1 quarterback. And this South Alabama defense still has massive issues. Don't be fooled by that performance against App State. So there's something weird going on with App State. Let's see if they can shake out of it in the second half of the year. But if you watch that game, there was elements that they were just off on, their timing, quarterback play, offensive line. South Alabama is not that good on defense. I'm just going to put that out there. They remain bottom 20 in points per opportunity allowed, bottom 10 in passing success rate on defense. They don't have much of a pass rush, and they're 130th in tackling per PFF. So when Arkansas State gets their playmakers, of which they had many, in space, they're going to break tackles, and 7 10-yard plays are going to turn into 30, 40-yard plays. This is the buy low spot on Arkansas State. They just played 2 elite defenses, both on the road in Michigan and Iowa State. Things are only going to go up for Jalen Rayner and this offense. Against Central Arkansas and Tulsa, He accounted for 694 yards and 5 total touchdowns. That's the Rainer I'm expecting to show up in this game. That's who we're going to get. And 61.5 for my projections, it's off by a full touchdown. Now, the only fly in the ointment here is that I'm expecting South Alabama's Jamal Pritchett not to play. He's in the concussion protocol. It's very unlikely that he's going to get a go. But I still got Gio Lopez, and I have freshman All-American Fluff Bothwell as well. Yeah. I mean, the fact that he is both that good that early and has a name like Fluff, I mean, you're tying our hands here. Of course, we're going to be all in on a player like that. We need to alert the public on how good he's been this year. He's averaging 8 yards per carry. He's got 6 touchdowns already. So they are multidimensional offensively. It's not just Gio playing hero ball. Over 61.5, my first pick here of the G555.
This is one of those games where we hope when you listen to us, you're like, oh, that handicap makes sense. I'm going to tail it. This is one of those bets where even if you don't think Calabrese, you don't trust his numbers or what he's saying, bet this because it's going to be fun. This is just going to be a fun game to have an over in because Gio Lopez is going to throw 3 touchdowns and probably a pick 6, and you're going to have crazy on both sides. I love this pick strictly for the entertainment value it's going to provide having it in your pocket and watching this game. All right, for my first pick, I'm going to Thursday night. Strap on your fun. Oh, no, this is CUSA. Never mind. Thursday night CUSA action. I'm taking Sam Houston minus 10 against UTEP. Let me get this out of the way. I know this is a terrible spot. This is a terrible spot for Sam Houston. They are coming off a huge comeback win against Texas State. Your beloved Bobs are dead. Now they have short rest playing a UTEP team on the road, coming off a bye. So I acknowledge this might be a stupid pick. But I think that's baked into the line here because this line is 10. And I think if this is, same circumstances on a Saturday, both teams played the previous week, this is 14. So I think the situation's baked into this line, which is why I'm not scared away. I've been really impressed with Sam Houston team that I was not very high on coming into the year. They lost to Central Florida in the bounce house. Understandable. They smoked Rice, Hawaii, and New Mexico State before a big upset win over Texas State last week. Bearcats went down 22-0 quickly, and they were down 39-21 in the third quarter before scoring the final 19 points. Game-winning field goal with 6 seconds left just shattered Calabrese's heart. And while Hunter Watson still is a little up and down as a passer, he had 105 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. Jaden Ducker had 3 touchdowns rushing. This offense is averaging 30 points per game, 5.3 yards per play. They have over 250 yards and 5 yards per carry in each of the last 3 games. Sam Houston, and what they've done well is they've just been very good on third downs, very good on fourth downs, and very good in the red zone. And that's what it takes to win games. They just move the ball, they go for it on third and fourth downs, they convert it, they keep the chains moving, and they score. And then UTEP doesn't do anything well. This team is terrible. They're 113th in offensive success rate, 106th in defensive success rate. Skylar Locklear has been terrible. He had 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. Get him out. He's benched. Cade McConnell's coming in. Look, McConnell played pretty well in relief last week against a bad Colorado State team. But Sam Houston's biggest weakness has been their run defense, and UTEP can't run the ball. So they have UTEP has 319 total rushing yards all season. Their 2.7 yards per carry ranks 123rd in the country. I expect the Bearcats to run the ball all game. And while Watson isn't the most efficient quarterback, this team does rank top 20th in explosiveness. So they should be able to put up enough big plays. And you look at what they've done in the past. Sam Houston is 4-1 against the spread this season. They are 4-0 against the spread against other G5 teams. And against the 3 teams that they're better than, they smoked them. 34-14, 31-13, 31-11. And all 3 of those teams were better than UTEP. So take the better team, not the better spot.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I thought to myself, can I put on the hazmat suit and get down into the absolute worst trash that you've ever seen and pick UTEP for the second time this month? Couldn't do it. So I wish you the best of luck there. I think the argument is solid in that the number, it seems like it's already baked in the letdown situation coming back, shocking a team that really could make your season, in-state team that you're certainly up against in terms of recruiting battles and everything else that goes into it and why it was important to beat Texas State. So perhaps they come out a little sluggish in the first half, but they are a class.
Like
most is better than this team.
Most power ratings have this like 14-15. So you're kind of getting that, okay, 4 points for UTEP coming off a bye.
I mentioned App State earlier. I have to do it. 3 points against this Marshall team. Second straight week taken 3. Last week it was with Western Michigan. Heartbreaker in the fourth quarter where they give up the game-winning touchdown in a tie game in the fourth quarter. They don't cover. I'm going back to the well. I'm taking the Nears +3, trying to catch the falling knife here on the Mountaineers, so to speak. This defense is indefensible from a numbers perspective, outside of the top 100 in just about any category you care about. But a big part of that was getting roasted by Clemson and South Alabama in a game that fully got away from them, and they just look like they threw in the towel. One of the top 15 offenses in the country right now when you look at South Alabama. So I understand that Clemson is a juggernaut moving closer to top 10 levels, but from a G5 perspective, South Alabama is an offense to be feared and to be respected. So them going nuts on App State, it's not that I'm feeling good about it, but at least I can understand. Marshall is not an elite G5 offense. They're built around the big play from A.J. Turner. When they get it, they can score some points. They can get in the 20s, maybe get close to 30 points, get a little frisky there. But if they can just bottle up this one guy and basically put it on the Marshall coaching staff to dream up some things in the passing game to beat them, I feel pretty good about it. And then if they hold them to, let's say, 24 points, can the App State offense wake up? I'm betting Joey Aguilar can get it done. And I think that it's somewhere inside of him to think back on last season. It was a bad start for the whole offense. He didn't necessarily hit the ground running either. And this was a team that was 3-4 last year, and then they won 6 of their last 7. In this very series last year, App State won 31-19 over Marshall. Joey went for 273 total yards and 3 scores. So it's there. If I'm the App State coaching staff, I'm putting that tape on, trying to remind them that they're not as bad as the stats and their record would say. And a reminder, Charles Huff remains a lousy home favorite. I know he covered last week against Western. That moves him all the way up to 5-10 against the spread as a home favorite since he took over in Huntington. I'm going back again. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. Maybe I didn't learn my lesson, but it's got to be App State in this spot.
Yeah, when I go through the card, I also kind of try to guess what I think you're going to take, especially for so we don't have crossover usually. I thought for sure this is going to be your G5 underdog, your money line underdog, to be honest with you. So
I have a feeling we may have the same money line underdog this week, but we'll see.
What was that? All right, we're taking it. This is by the way, more of a reason to take the over is because we're both getting gross this week. This is another hold your nose one. Give me Miami, Ohio, +7 against Toledo. You're making a face. Is that an agree face or a gross face?
That's an agree. That would, like I said, I'd put on the hazmat suit, I'd get down there in the chemical waste, and I would take the Redhawks plus the points.
Maybe I'm stuck on last season, but this Miami team cannot be as bad as they have looked. They lost to Northwestern, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and then they struggled to beat UMass, but the defense still looked good in that game. And they've looked good most of the year, to be honest with you. All those games are kind of low scoring, and they continue to use their bend don't break approach, letting teams move the ball a little easier than I'd like, but with ease. But then they rank 7th at preventing big plays and 23rd at preventing finishing drives. They've allowed just 22 points per game. They have yet to allow more than 28 in a game. The offense has run the ball fine with Keon Mosey. He's averaging 6.2 yards per carry. They don't give him the ball enough, so that's kind of frustrating. And then Brett Gabbert looked terrible. He has 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions after throwing just 5 all last season. So he's not really a guy. I mean, he's been there, 6 years? I mean, granted, he's only played half the season, so 3 years by that math. But he's never really been a guy who's been turnover prone in the past. So I would kind of expect him to calm that down a little bit. His 4.4% turnover worthy throw rate is way higher than any previous year. So I kind of expect Gabbert to settle down a little bit, and that's been the biggest issue with Miami. And then Toledo also played UMass. They were outgained by more than 100 yards. They beat Mississippi State, who's terrible. They lost to Western Kentucky in their last outing. And again, there's another team. The only hesitation is another team coming off a bye, so I'm 2 for 2 in stupid plays here. But these two teams play each other every year, so they're pretty familiar with each other. So it's like, I don't think the extra week to prepare is going to help that much. They already know each other inside and out. Yes, Tucker Gleason has been fantastic this year. 11 touchdowns, 2 picks. The wide receiver room is excellent, but Toledo has not really run the ball all that well, and I still trust Miami, Ohio's pass defense. They have yet to allow more than 190 passing yards all season. So I'm kind of down on both these teams. I don't think either of these teams will win the MAC. I think both have clearly taken a step back from last season. And I expect the Red Hawks to kind of settle in here to conference play, slow the game down, do what they do. They're going to slow the game down. They're going to rely on their defense. And if Gabbert can just kind of calm down, protect the football, I think this would be a close game late. So give me the points with the Red Hawks.
I mean, to aid your point, you said that Tucker Gleason's been fantastic this year. Yes, until he wasn't, and he threw away the Western game, which is the Tucker Gleason experience. He's either going to play lights out, and this game will be a laugher, and they win by 28 points, or he could throw 2 interceptions and keep Miami in the game, playing that, slow it down, muck it up kind of style that has, made them famous in recent years, at least from a betting perspective. So I'm kind of with you there.
Give me a Jack Salopek pick 6 here.
All right, I'm going to end up the G5 high five, laying a big number with a team that I know you don't like, Ainello, so hear me out. Jacksonville State laying 14.5 at Kennesaw State. The Gamecocks were left for dead after blowout losses to Coastal, which was just one of the worst performances of week 1 in the entire country, and then Louisville, which we can forgive them for. But in the last 2 games, they've scored 81 points and ran up 932 yards of total offense. I touted Tyler Huff in the offseason. I said, this is going to be the guy for this program. He's been that guy. He's 32nd nationally in QBR. He's a true dual threat, averaging 86 rushing yards per game in the games that he started. So he runs this Rich Rod offense exactly how it should be run, where he is dynamic and a threat to the defense in multiple ways on every single snap. Kennesaw is going to try to play keep away. What we know about Kennesaw, they're essentially service academy football. They play at a snail's pace, but they've been really lousy on third down, which is a death knell to a team that wants to put together those 9 and 10 play drives that take 7 or 8 minutes. They're 99th in third down percentage conversions. And when they do go on fourth down, they go a lot. So they've already gone for it 11 times in 4 games, which is a top 10 rate in terms of fourth down attempts per game nationally. And they've only converted about 55% of those. So there's opportunities on the table to get turnovers on downs, to get their punter on the field, and get the ball back to a hot Jacksonville State offense. Now, it's a short week for Kennesaw, but Jacksonville State is coming off a bye, and that is one of those little dings that go off on my spreadsheet. Rich Rod is a coach to bet and to ride with when he has extra time. When he has a rest advantage since taking over Jacksonville State in 2022, 7-2 against the spread. I think he makes it 8-2 here. I'll lay the 14.5. Don't mind the hook.
Yeah, I only hate Jacksonville State because they were like my first bet of the year against Coastal, and I lost by 100. I don't hate it though because Kennesaw State is just putrid. I think they're the worst team in the country by far. Them and Kent State should play just to see who it is. And you calling Kennesaw Service Academy is insulting to our beloved Service Academies. The Coast Guard maybe, but they are not playing the same sport as Army and Navy this year because those 2 teams would just destroy Kennesaw. I don't hate it just because Kennesaw is really, really bad.
I have a feeling down in my plumes that we are on the same money line underdog.
Let me go first then. I get to go first then.
Yeah, you get to go first in our money line underdog parlay of week 6.
All right, I'm finally taking a team coming off the bye instead of the other way around. Give me Hawaii. Bows up against.
Guess what? We're both on the bows. Can you believe it?
Yes. Rainbows all around. Look, Hawaii laid an egg against Sam Houston, but they were able to get right against Northern Iowa last week before the bye, putting up 528 yards, 7.9 yards per play. Shager threw it all over the place. They ran the ball effectively. Now they have some confidence. They had a bye to kind of, keep things moving. And San Diego State has dropped 3 straight. They just blew a lead and lost on a game-winning field goal against Central Michigan. The Aztecs are in a complete rebuild. They're not even hiding it. They're starting a true freshman quarterback to try to build for the future. They rank 118th in offensive success rate, 107th on defense. Like I said, true freshman who is basically just a game manager. He's averaging less than 190 passing yards per game. The Rainbow Warriors have a top 20 passing defense this year. They are going to hound him all game. And San Diego State's entire offense has just been the Marquez Cooper show. And like I said, Hawaii's had 2 weeks to develop a game plan to take away one player. And I trust them to do it. I like the Rainbow Warriors to continue building confidence on offense. And I think they are the much better team here. Bows, I think it's like the 4th time we bet Hawaii this year, but bows up. How can we parlay the same team? I don't know, but we're going to do it. We'll just bet them twice on the money line. 2 units, Hawaii money line. Calabrese go.
The only reason this number is close and that we're getting plus money on it is Timmy Chang's track record as a road dog, 1-11 straight up. But as we know, he walked
Oh,
into a year sub-zero. It was an absolute tire fire. He needed to fix so much before he could get them headed in the right direction, rowing in the same direction as a team. So I'm in on this Hawaii team. They almost upset UCLA. Yes, they got handled by Sam Houston, but in very quick order, we now know that the Bearcats look like an 8 or 9 win team out of CUSA. Who doesn't look good? You mentioned it. San Diego State, bottom 10 in havoc allowed, success rate, points per opportunity, 127th in passing success rate. This offense, as our beloved producer Matt Mitchell likes to sprinkle all over the BBOC episodes, this offense is going nowhere fast. They like to play with tempo, but they're just not very good. They scored exactly 0 points in the second half against Central Michigan. They've scored 31 points in total across the last 3 games. And that Aztec game against the Chippewas, they were +3 in the turnover battle, and they still couldn't win. So that's with everything going right for SDSU. As I mentioned, getting shut out in the second half by a Chippewas defense, that's all I need to know, because this Hawaii linebacking core, the Lions' Den, they're going to be on the prowl in this game. They're going to focus in on Cooper, and they're going to stop them, because anything else offensively, you look at the advanced stats for SDSU, they're bleeding out on the sheet. It's red everywhere. So I don't think we even need to go further into this, other than the fact that if you want a little bit of positivity to go up against that San Diego State negativity, Hawaii is 21st in havoc. So it's not as though I need them to play their best game of the season out of nowhere. They're 46th in defensive success rate. It's already there. I think when you're picturing it's the break glass in case of emergency, late night run and shoot Hawaii offense where they score 60 points and they give up 57. That is not this Hawaii team. I think they're in the right spot to play a really nice game, probably hold San Diego State 17, 20 points. And then Braden Shager, he got right against Northern Iowa. You mentioned it. He went 35 for 43, 374 through the air, 4 touchdowns. Just protect the football for the love of God. Do not turn the ball over the way that you have at times in your career. If they win the turnover battle, they're going to win this one. I think they could win it going away, because San Diego State is not right for this season. It is future project.
Like I said, San Diego State went out in the transfer portal and took AJ Duffy, a former 4-star recruit from Florida State at quarterback. And they went to spring practice, and Sean Lewis took a look at this roster and took a look at this team and said, we are not going to compete. And he decided to start Danny O'Neal and build for the future, a true freshman. They're not even hiding the fact that they are rebuilding, essentially not tanking, but they don't care about this year. Otherwise, they'd be playing a 4-star recruit from Florida State. They're playing a true freshman, letting him take his lumps, so they're ready to go next year and the year after that. They're not even hiding the fact that they're not trying to win this year. They're building for the future, which I don't hate, especially for this team. So, like Bree said, we're all in on Hawaii. If you're someone who looks forward to the money line parlay, especially because we've had luck and last week got screwed with App State, I would say just throw 2 units on Hawaii money line or do the Hawaii App State parlay. I thought Breeze was going to do that anyway. If you're taking them 3, I like App State as well. So if you really want to do a money line parlay, unless Breeze objects, I would say do the Hawaii App State one. Let's just throw 2 units on the bows and I'll have a good time.
I assume that there wasn't any cutting room floor for you. This entire slate, if this was a ketchup bottle, I turned it over, I slapped the bottom, I did that little trick where you hit the neck of the glass bottle. Nothing more was coming out. I left it all on the field here for the Group of 5 deep dive. There was no other bets I was interested at all, other than an Ashton Genty over rushing total. It's 186.5. What are you kidding me? That's a must bet over. If you're in a state that has player props, you got to bet over on Genty. I mean, he could go for that in 4 carries at this point.
Yeah, I originally wrote down East Carolina -7.5, and then that line just shot to like 9. So now I was waiting for the 7, and now it's 9, so it's gone. Bowling Green 14.5. If that can get to 14 or under, that kind of piqued my interest against Akron. I think Bowling Green's very good, and they had a down game after the body blows against A&M and Penn State. I think they bounce back here. And the one I just wanted to float by you, because everyone calls me biased, so I was never going to bring it up on the show. Is 6 points too much for Old Dominion to be catching against Coastal?
No, I think Coastal can handle that. But I really do like your Bowling Green look. I will say, in terms of my professional opinion, keep your money on the sideline, maybe get an early score from Akron, fingers crossed, and that number drops down to 9.5, then just hammer it. Because I agree, I think they're so much better, and they have the biggest matchup nightmare in the MAC. Fannin is unguardable. At this point, he is playing like the Mackey Award winner. So I think
they won it. They're 1-3, and I'm like more confident in our Bowling Green future than I was before the year.
Yeah, it's interesting what's played out for them. And I agree, it's the body blow theory. This is the time when you have to stick to your guns because a lot of these paycheck games, they can create these weird box scores. They can make the team look a lot worse. We just talked about it with Arkansas State playing against Michigan, playing against Iowa State. That's not the kind of talent they're going to be facing the rest of the way. So you need to reset your mind a little bit. And also know, if you watch any of the behind the scenes shows with coaching staffs, they love taking the opportunity to say, it's a brand new season. Let's wipe the slate clean. We have a chance to win a conference championship. I think kids can buy into that, especially early in the conference slate.
That kind of goes to my same theory on Miami, Ohio. It's like, yeah, Northwestern and Cincinnati aren't like national title contender team, but those are, they played 3 Power 5 teams, and they played Northwestern, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and then they slept through UMass. But now it's conference time, and I kind of expect them to lock in. So that's kind of my theory on the Miami, Ohio pick as well.
For Mike Iannello, I'm Mike Calabrese. This has been the Group of 5 Deep Dive under the Big Bets on Campus banner. Thank you so much for listening in to our picks here in Week 6. If you're looking for more college football content, don't worry, we have you covered both here on the podcast and over at our YouTube channel. That's BBOC. Go ahead and subscribe there and like and comment. We're going to throw out some freebies in terms of merch, as well as $10 free parlays for 5-star reviews. Colin and Stuck will be back later in the week with their full coverage of everything, top to bottom, top 25 matchups, all the way down to the trash. And then on Saturday, Brett McMurphy joins Colin, Stuck, myself, and Johnny Manziel to do a live show where we get you prepared for the Saturday that is to come and all the final pieces, injury news, line movements, everything that you need to be able to finish your Saturday in the black. All right, that's it for us. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next week.